Happy Monday, everybody, which means it's UPL. It's the start of another wonderful week. It's currently week 4, and here in our Alpha Division, it's Slaughterhouse Bravo versus Emergence. Terry will be joining me once again as McCready is unable to stop by and say hello to us. Too many things happening across the pond, but Terry, welcome.
I feel welcome. Slaughterhouse Bravo versus Emergence is going to be a game for sure. It has interesting implications. We'll leave it at that for now, huh?
I mean, you're alluding to the fact that this game is pre-recorded. If you didn't catch on to that, the players are all joking that they're going to be napping the entire time while this is taking place live. And speaking of being live, here is our lovely rosters. Miku, he might say, hey, who on earth is that? Well, that's actually Wubbs, the IGL team captain and all-around face of Slaughterhouse Bravo. And Emergence, another player we have to highlight, the opposite of that Miku character. That's going to be Sunofin, and he is also the team captain IGL. Two incredibly intelligent players, but more importantly, these players can frag out when their entry fraggers die. On a brief interview with Finn earlier this week, his goal always is to make sure he wins his engagements, his team wins his engagements, but more importantly, they don't lose on a strategy level. Going against a team like Slaughterhouse Bravo, who is capable of fragging and having Gigabrain plays, that's a tall order to say the least.
Yeah, it's one thing to IGL, it's another thing to really step up and be a player as well. Even if you're the brains behind the operation, you still have to show them the bronze. The brain is the biggest muscle, but when you're just flexing at every part of your body, you're just a well-rounded player in general. And indeed, we're going to have some well-rounded teams to come out tonight.
Now, another thing we have to say about the Emergence roster, if you're missing your favorite cool, unfortunately, he has departed the team, so Dally will now be filling in those shoes. And we're talking about the importance of an entry fragger. Now, usually they're not so strategy-based, but still, when you have Cool leaving the team, he's been dry running, he's been scrimming with this roster, and you're putting in a new entity who's not going to be as familiar and fresh with strats. So that could always change up, your movement in a match.
Yeah, it's important to be comfortable with what everyone's doing, and everyone needs to be on the same page. And when you're not on the same page, when something goes wrong, it gets 10 times harder to figure out what went wrong and be able to fix it quickly. Moving on to the map bans, though, in a little bit. What maps do you think we're going to see? Well, here we go. Clubhouse, Coastline, Oregon, Villa, Chalet, Consulate, all gone. And we're going to be starting on Cafe here. Defense is going to be going over to the side of Emergence.
Again, defense attack doesn't matter that much whether or not you're in a best of one, because again, you're going to be playing the entire series outright. So you get access to all 12 rounds. And again, if you're going against a team like Slaughterhouse Bravo, defense could be an asset where you can create strategies already and start to deny them access to the map. That way you're going to start to test Wubb's brain, and maybe you can start to get him to trip up, fall on his face. And, an idea behind that could be setting up a different way of holding piano bar. Instead of just having, 2 shields over in Pixel, maybe 1 in Washroom, you expand something downstairs with Nitrocells. And now you're forcing Wubbs into a position where he's like, do I want to clear that second floor, or do I just do a direct take? Enough theory crafting aside, our match is finally live.
Yeah, Slaughterhouse Bravo has shown us 11 rounds of Cafe last week versus Title, where they came up short 4-7. So this time around, Emergence does have some VODs to work off of. They have a little bit of hope going into Slaughterhouse Bravo, a very tried and true team, Thatcher, very quickly going to be banned first and foremost. Not surprising at all whatsoever. What will be the response for Slaughterhouse Bravo this time, though?
I've never seen a Thatcher ban in my life, Terry. Ever.
Never.
Never.
It's never happened.
Nope. First time
Mythical.
for me. You know what? If it's a Cali ban, that could also be a first for me, all jokes aside. Sledge actually makes sense. That is not a first, because think about how this map operates. You have 2 bomb sites, reading and feeding, and downstairs and kitchen that require that vertical play. You're removing 1 operator for vertical pressure, and more importantly, you're going to be moving those frag grenades. Now, if you want to participate in vertical play, well, you have to bring out a buck, and if you still require some type of explosive, well, you're going to have somebody else fill in that role, and that can become quite tasking on your opportunity cost of utility. Valkyrie falling as well. Again, it's that same vein. She provides a lot of utility with her 3 cameras that you can put in about every single position, grabbing information, as well as that nitro cell being coupled with information.
Yeah, and Clash. Wubs is a known Clash player, and Emergence didn't even have to think twice about it. They just don't want to deal with it. Touching back on what you said about bringing Buck over Sledge, Buck does now have access to that secondary hard breach gadget. He's had it for a little bit now, but Maverick also on the board with grenades. Bringing Buck and Maverick may give you everything you need, but instead we're going to see Buck and Habana as the duo to come out. Iana will also have grenades and that Gone 6 to clear gadgets and utility. Jaeger and Wamai coming out from Emergence to be able to eat all of that, but it looks like Slaughterhouse have brought enough projectiles to do the job.
Well, we're highlighting opportunity cost of utility, and this is quite interesting. Ashe is not in play. Iana has 2 frags and that Gone 6. So essentially accomplishing exactly what Ashe would. Now she also increases your drone economy, because you don't have to have just 10 drones. In theory, you're going to have 7 to 5 extra drones, depending on how often that clone is being shot. Now you can take map control in a faster manner and not have to be taxed as much. And also, if you realize that Emergence is roaming downstairs on that 2nd floor, it's going to require you to put more flank drones on those stairwells, which is going to play even more into Slothy on that Iana, because you have to have access to those drones at all times. It seems like Emergence, they're going to do a storybook defense, exactly what you expect. Expansion out west, using those shields and those rotations all in barback stores as well as in washrooms, turning Piano into that true no man's land.
Storybook setup, a textbook setup, if you will, but will it be a storybook ending as we get in here? Miku just opening things up, checking for that C4 from below, droning out any roamers who may be on the 2nd floor, waiting to blow anyone up coming in through the red wall. Call now on the roof opening up the hatches, and they're just getting to work, trying to figure out how they're going to push into the building as they just set up their repels, their drones, and all of that good stuff.
It's slow and methodical for Slaughterhouse Bravo. It's exactly what you want them to do, because they have to really get a good understanding of the pressure Emergence has. Now, they've actually expanded their defense out east on this 2nd floor. The reason behind this is, since Buck was shown in the operator reveal phase, you know exactly that Slaughterhouse Bravo is going to go for the old school way of executing. That means pushing in through through reading room, and taking that vertical play, sending all of your buckshot over by cocktails. Part of that means taking engagements early on. The newest addition to Emergence is going to fall pretty flat on his face, but now it's going to be a slaughter over and reading. Cal's going to get the better of Callan after he got that refrag against his teammate, but still Slaughterhouse Bravo in control of the round 1 as we hit that 90-second mark.
Roam game swiftly dealt with. Unfortunately, it looked like Callan just narrowly got Slothy. Slothy not expecting a 2nd person to be on the bottom floor. But I don't understand why they got the Jaeger, and they'd have to assume that there was a nitro cell below, and that would have been Talon. So definitely a little weird, maybe a missed drone, or maybe they just narrowly missed Talon and got a wrong call there. Kyle now trying to get this vertical. He just narrowly sees the leg of the Maestro, but he'll miss it. Rai will eat a lot of damage. Son of Finn will go down to Miku. So now 2v4, and it's not looking good. Chax is going to be all alone on White Hall. He can't hold it down. Doctor can clean it up, and that's going to be first round for Slaughterhouse Bravo.
So you're holding the engagement downstairs where Slaughterhouse Bravo would end up losing the engagement to the Melusi. That's because as soon as you get that opening pick, it's almost like the attackers have to act as a wave and the water has to fill in that spot. Because if you don't move quick enough, that means the defenders can come back into that area and you have to repeat those steps. So at the start of that execute, you have to do that due diligence with the drones to understand the paths in which the defenders can crash back on that single position. So Slaughterhouse identifying, hey, there's one in reading room. We need to take this execute. They win that gunfight. They, as a wall of water, move in, and the same thing can be said for Emergence, but there wasn't enough information in the back pocket of Slaughterhouse to catch that secondary rotation from Emergence. But still, Slaughterhouse Bravo is a mechanical team, and they're always going to be able to adjust when one of their friends falls to a awkward gunfight, because again, that wall of water analogy continues to pan out as there's now more members of Slaughterhouse Bravo re-entering reading room to make sure that never happens again. And at that point, Emergence was kind of just saying, we need more kills. We need to make sure we get back to even man count. They started to play a lot more aggressive, and Slaughterhouse Bravo was prepared for that level of aggression every single turn. A good round for Slaughterhouse Bravo as they now have to set up and execute downstairs in the kitchen.
A lot of ways to hold this bottom floor. It looks like they're going to be reinforcing off the entirety of Freezer, but they're going to be opening up the hatch still, which says to me they're going to be extending their roam more vertical than horizontal, and they're not going to be worried about Christmas. That hatch can come into play later in the round if the roam clear is successful, and Slaughterhouse Bravo have been very effective on their roam clears as of late, so it's just going to be a matter of if they can break down what Emergence is bringing out. What they are bringing out is Talon to avoid a lot of those drones. He is not immune to the Yana hologram, however. The hologram will be able to see him, so as long as Slothy does his due diligence, he'll be able to pick off Talon in no time.
So with soft barricades upstairs, as the green barricades on doors and windows, it seems like Emergence, well, they want to snipe away some of this drone economy. You have to be very careful with doing this strategy, though, because if Emergence player sits over by pallets, they might find themselves in a gunfight that they're not prepared for, particularly from the white window rappel, which shuts off all access of rotation in that white quarters, washrooms, and pixel. So if you're going for this aggressive strategy that Emergence has, where you snipe away the drones of Slaughterhouse Bravo, forcing them to rotate deeper back into the bomb site, well, you also have to make sure that you yourself can rotate safely to your bomb site without getting into a gunfight. Dolly, once again, an opening duel. He's been on an island by himself, playing incredibly aggressive. Now Chak's falling, but Talon's able to evolve over by P2, taking multiple gunfights, winning on the second one, but a crash from Slothy will end that rampage, as it's now Emergence once again in the back seat.
Yeah, Talon getting the two kills, but not being able to rotate away, and that's going to leave it all to Rai and Son of Finn to hold down the site. A lot of time still left for Slaughterhouse Bravo and the Buck, who's going to be able to tear up that floor and get these angles downwards. He does have the flashbangs to help clear out any ADSs or Wamai gadgets, but there's none to speak of, and there's not much utility left. It seems Son of Finn's already used his Nitro Cell, leaving it all up to Rai. Hopefully, though, looking at the drone economy on one side of the board, looks like Slaughterhouse only have 5 drones left, and Slothy, hopefully the mute jammers are placed correctly in order to stall out that information for just a bit longer, but it won't be too long now before a play comes out.
TCSG slug shotgun in the hands of Son of Finn. This weapon hits like a truck, and he's going to play this position very aggressive, rotating over to reception. The idea behind this play is simple. Make sure he takes a gunfight to go the last 30 seconds with equal man count. There's a swing of the TCSG, unable to control the recoil, and Wubbs is now on 50 HP. That could have been the play to turn the round around for Emergence, but unfortunately, one misplay might hurt them in the end. It's still going to the execution phase with Slaughterhouse Bravo in the control. Rai SMG 11 in hand, tacks onto one, finds the diffuser, but doesn't find any more kills after that, as Slaughterhouse Bravo is alerted to the SMG Bros presence.
Yep. Tried to escape, but Buck just too close by. Rai couldn't do much there except hope that he can burn out the time. But again, Slaughterhouse Bravo's time management has been impeccable. They've been managing to do everything they need to do with a lot of time remaining on the board for them. So that's not going to work out very well for Rai. And now, going into this next round, we haven't seen much adaptation from Slaughterhouse Bravo. Not that they need it. They've been very effective and everything they've been attempting to do. Meanwhile, we're going to see a very similar lineup for Emergence, except we're now going to have the Echo instead of the Mozzie.
So this is the opportunity to kind of like put on your coaching hat while you're watching this game, because again, this is a pre-recorded game, and I'm assuming Alton players are in the chat right now, just digesting all this information for a second time, almost using this as a like VOD review session. And that's always a strong asset to have, because if we look at Emergence defense back in round 2, they're really playing as individuals, starting off with Dolly. And again, he is a new entity to the Emergence roster. Replacing Cool, he's going to have to find his own path and avenue to be successful on a team like Emergence, because you can be a great fragger, you can be a great support player, you can be a great IGL, but when you're inserted into a brand new team, everything that you know, all of your lessons that you learned throughout previous games, well, you have to now find a new way of applying it to your team. And maybe on, past teams, he was able to play as this individual, taking aggressive gunfights. But if you go against a roster like Slaughterhouse Bravo, if you play as an individual, they will absolutely punish you. I mean, look at those first 2 opening duels. Emergence players were sitting by themselves, and they got slaughtered by 3 different cutoffs of SHB. And even with that double kill coming in from Vigil, I mean, that might have been jacked up to like a misplay by Slaughterhouse. They're still able to rectify that based off mechanical skill.
Yeah, they had the aim for sure to be able to shut down everything that Vigil was doing. A lot less roam here from Emergence. They have most of their players on the first floor this time. They do seem to have one roamer still up here somewhere. The drones are seeking him out, but I haven't been able to find him quite yet. Not on the 3rd floor at least. So now, Slaughterhouse Bravo pushing down, doing their due diligence. This is a great adaptation. We know that Slaughterhouse Bravo has been doing a great roam clear. So just don't roam. Don't try to fight them where they're doing so well. Pull it back a little bit. Let them waste time and then try to stall out on site. Like you almost managed to do last round, except you didn't quite have the manpower for it.
Hatch being opened up, and that just means everybody from Emergence, well, they've been recalled back to their first floor. They're going to be hanging out here and replicating what they tried to do on the previous other floors, wasting as much time as possible. And the problem is, with that strategy, though, is the ceiling above them is being removed. That means there's going to be bullets whizzing over their head. Any of their utility on that bomb site's going to start to disappear. And more crucially, though, if they have a nice hidey hole that they want to sit in, well, they're not going to have that option anymore. They're going to have to start to expand out into different positions, whether or not it's coat or wedding, anything along those lines. The problem is, with Slaughterhouse Bravo in positions for those cutoffs, those aggressive lines have now been lost.
Yeah, but seeing as how no picks come out, I say that Rai will get burnt turkey, call the refresh onto Dolly, and Rai to get another one. Doc will finally finish him off, leaving it a 3v3. Wait, okay, Son of Finn has somehow made his way all the way upstairs, and Call will make sure that he goes no further. Talon will retreat back, and Chax now just waiting by the red stairs. He wins his gunfight against Doc, but the plant's going down. Call above will be able to hold, but no, Miku actually hops off. Talon will shut down the plant with his Echo drone, and that leaves Miku very exposed. Talon will try to restick the plant once again, but can he find the angle? Chax is now going to push up for it. Talon gets down. It's going to be all up to Chax. Call now in the 1v1 against the Jaeger. He's looking for the pick, but he can't get it. Call will retreat away. He isn't above to hold it, though, so Chax is going to try to stick the defuse. He hops off as he gets maybe an audio call from his teammate. 25 seconds left, and Chax is dancing with Call. A dance of death. Chax back to the diffuser, trying to stick it. No, he'll hop off. Audio cue once again by Call. Call will win his gunfight, and he'll shut down the round. Slaughterhouse Bravo to take 3 in a row.
Poor Chax. Honestly, he probably could have been able to win that round if he stuck the initial defuse. He was about halfway through it, which means there's 3 to 4 seconds left in the defuse timer. And Buck might not have been able to sprint over to that position since he was over by Whiskey Long. Again, in the heat of the moment, you expect him to be playing aggressive. Trax did that knee-jerk reaction, and, at the end of the day, you can't blame him for reacting that way. The problem is Emergence defense is not wasting enough time. When you're downstairs on kitchen, your defenders have to act as a sponge, absorbing all this water, all this time, so that way, once the attackers go for their execute, once they start that vertical play, there's going to be so little time left on their execute phase, they're going to have to just play this super aggressive, take gunfights through fatal funnels, but their positions are most likely not going to win. Again, Emergence in round 2, they went for their upstairs hold where they expanded and wasted time. They realized it didn't work for them. They went downstairs for a linear defense. Again, I prefer a roster to at least expand on that second floor. You don't have to do a full grandiose roam like you did in round 2, but you have to snipe away some of those drones, at least 3, if not more. Because again, you have to waste time, and Emergence was unable to do that at all during round 3. Now transitioning over to round 4, a reading feeding defense. It's the same philosophy. Waste time on now the third floor.
5 seconds remaining.
What was really telling for me on round 3 as opposed to round 2 was that on round 2, with all that roam, the Bucks started to work vertical around a minute 10. On round 3, completely uncontested, Slaughterhouse started to work vertical around a minute 30. So the roam in round 2, which consisted of 2 or 3 different players, only wasted max 20 seconds? And that's not something you want to see. Of course, you did get those 2 picks, but what went horribly wrong round 2 where your roam game just didn't do anything? Maybe you should try to bolster the roam in some way instead of just completely foregoing it.
So, to directly answer your question, it was Dali's aggression in round 2. Because he didn't waste time, he took a gunfight. And the same thing happened in round 3, he took gunfights. When you're doing what I refer to as a staged roam or an active roam, if you watch Reaper's videos, is where you fall back in what are stages, the rooms upstairs or downstairs. You back up one by one. Now, you can elect to hold your ground and take a gunfight. That's actually a good way to be unpredictable. But if you take a gunfight in the first stage, the attackers are going to be able to just bully you and pound you into the ground. Case in point, most of the gunfights that Dali has been in. Now, this has actually been a nice change for Emergence because they have the same roster count as Slaughterhouse Bravo. No gunfights have taken place yet. The thing is, Slaughterhouse Bravo has positions and beachheads all outside both of the bomb sites, and we haven't even hit the halfway mark yet.
Yeah, so then eats a little bit of damage to a grenade thrown over by Slothy. Unfortunate there, just a little bit off, and that would have given the opening pick to Slaughterhouse and Bravo, but the wall's getting opened up and a lot of controls being asserted from Bravo. They still have their players above, but Burt Turkey will take at least one of them out as checks will be removed. That's your Jaeger, and Doc finds Son of Fen Dolly to refrag. A minute left, and Call will get a really nice angle through the fireplace. Rai below, though, and it doesn't seem like they know of his existence. Slaughterhouse Bravo may just try to go for a plant to be answered by an explosive finish. Slothy will try to go for that plant, and Talon has made his way above, but he won't be able to find any of the kills. It looks like complete sight control here for Slaughterhouse Bravo as Rai will try to retake from below and Talon from above. Rai will at least down Cal. That's going to make it even man count for the most part. Emergence, though, has 30 seconds to be able to find all of these kills. And Slothy will start it off with taking down Talon. That means it's just going to be the ump. And it's not going to be able to do enough. Doc to take down Rai. And once again, Slaughterhouse Bravo continuing the streak here on Cafe.
So after a minute was burned in that round, everybody from Emergence was basically on the bomb sites. That is extremely dangerous to be because you can see Slaughterhouse Bravo, they just start removing the ceiling and Emergence starts falling one by one. It's like bobbing for apples. If you have a bucket full of 100 apples, it's going to be very easy to grab an apple. That's the exact analogy when you have 3 defenders stuck in reading room. You can just bite down and pull up a member of Emergence. Now, if you're bobbing for 100 apples in the Pacific Ocean, that becomes a lot more dangerous and a lot harder to do because you don't know where they're going to be. Think of the Pacific Ocean like the entire map of Cafe. You have to check every single nook and cranny, and once you found all those apples in that bucket, well, again, it's just making a Sunday at that point. A solid round for Slaughterhouse Bravo. We're talking about Emergence. Their goal was to make sure that they are winning on the strat level every single time, and right now the strategy that they're bringing out, Wubs is able to digest it and break it down far too easily. Again, in Siege you have to waste time. At a certain point, I'm going to sound like a broken record because Emergence needs to start to realize time is imperative.
It seems to me that Emergence is scaring themselves. They're taking gunfights really early on and then losing them and then going, oh, we can't beat them in gunfights. And then they just stop trying to take gunfights. That's kind of what it feels like. They're just like, all right, guys, we'll just turtle on site. We can't win the gunfights. Well, you're taking...
I'll be afraid of burnt turkey. The man's nasty.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's burning everyone in this lobby, that's for sure.
Now he only has 1 kill, but he's still nasty. I'd be afraid to peek burnt turkey. If I know burnt turkey's the lobby, Alt F4. I'm canceling.
Listen, burnt turkey is just my Thanksgiving dinner, all right? And my Thanksgiving dinner at least made half my family sick, all right? So, I mean, hey, lethality. Son of Finn is going to be on the 2nd floor, and if I'm not mistaken, the site's above. So, a lot of utility being invested into the 2nd floor roam, which is what I want to see. Son of Finn actually getting really aggressive on smoke, but he won't find anything, and he'll think better of it and rotate all the way up, and then he'll just play on white stairs for the rest of the round, it seems.
Well, once again, the man that's been opening death every time for Emergence is going to bury himself once again. Son of Finn in a position that he is known for over by Reading Room SMG11. He's going to try to replicate the success he did back in the SCS qualifiers, where it was a 4K with all 17 bullets of that pocket sub. So maybe he's going to try exactly that. Well, the storyline hasn't quite panned out that way. Instead, it's going to be Chax coming down the red stairs and finding the impact kill. Now, Slaughterhouse Bravo, for the first time this series, is going to be at disadvantage, but unbridled aggression by Talon's going to lose his life. It's still refrags, though, in favor of Emergence. They can stay in this game. They just have to make sure Slaughterhouse Bravo doesn't get any extra kills.
Yeah, and this has been a really successful roam this time around from Emergence. Kyle will finally even out the man count once again this round. So it's going to be up to Chax and Son of Finn on smoke to answer Miku and Kyle. They're going up to the rappel, meaning that they're going to be trying for a cocktail take. Chax is going to reposition for such a thing as Miku on red stairs. It's going to be Wubs trying to just push in, maybe establish some more control. Oh no, Son of Finn doesn't seem actually aware of their presence, and he'll puck right into the gun line of Kyle. Oh boy, and now it's going to be all up to Chax in a clutch situation with 35 seconds left. He will get Kyle, meaning it is up to Wubs. Wubs does have Diffuser, and he is deep in sight. He will probably be able to stick this plant as he attempts so now. And that's going to mean that Chax, if he doesn't have the intel, is going to have a hard time of it. There was a ping, so there is at least some intel on site. Miku looking the wrong way, but he will find Chax eventually. Slaughterhouse and Bravo will not stop. They will not rest until they win this game, and it's almost starting to look like it might be a flawless for them here.
All right, Terry, let's analyze round 5, because a lot of things happened. Actually, out of any of the rounds that we've seen, that was by far Emergence's best round, because they won opening kills. They've put such a strategy up that Slaughterhouse Bravo was forced to acknowledge it, respect it, and they respected it so much that they actually lost some of their players. More players than Emergence initially did. After that, though, Emergence needs to tone down their aggression. You can still play in those positions, but you have to do it with either information or in a position that you know Slaughterhouse Bravo won't check. The latter of those options is extremely risky, and we saw that by that rotation over from Laundry back into Reading Room. That was Talon losing that engagement. He would have been better off going up those white stairs and now holding the position that his teammate was. That teammate can now go to a different position, preferably over to Pixel, Washroom, Bar back storage, or even maybe an aggressive play over by Piano, at least if he can rotate back safely. But if you still are constantly just trying to swing for more home runs, eventually the pitcher is going to realize, hey, they're still down here and they've already showed their entire hand. Wubbs was able to calculate that and reverse engineer a losing strategy. And that's one of the hallmarks of a good IGL, is when your strategy has failed, because for Slaughterhouse Bravo in round 5, it definitely did. They're able to rectify it from the ashes and winning those gunfights, and even playing in predictable positions over by what I call C1, which is the north side of Cocktail, that elevated position. Whoever was up there losing that gunfight to Buck, I mean, Call was just playing that, holding that angle, because he knows, well, it's a very common position to be for somebody behind cameras. I can just hold this position, watch them wiggle and vibrate like an atom, and eventually they'll come into my crosshairs. Incredible game sense from Call.
What I think is more important about that round, ignoring the result, is how Emergence got the man advantage in the first place. Up until now, their roam has been disjointed. They've been playing on islands. They've been playing alone. What happened that round is that they were backing each other up. Once you killed someone, there was a gun barrel not too far away, pointed right at your direction, ready to get that refrag. Emergence did a great job of, once they got that pick, they were able to refrag. If they didn't get the pick, well, they still got the refrag. And it turned out that when you're able to play like that, you're able to not snowball away and lose too many players. Burt Turkey will flash himself as he drops the skylight into Dolly's waiting arms, and Rai will get Cal as well. So round 6 looking just as good for Emergence as round 5 did at the beginning, if not better.
I mean, to be fair, Slaughterhouse Bravo just gifted Emergence 2 free kills. I mean, those were on a golden platter. I mean, Burt Turkey just thought he was safe by going for a flash down. And how on earth did Doc just fry Dolly? And Wubbs gonna tack onto the board as well. Emergence did such a wonderful job of taking these engagements, and now they're at the losing end of these engagements. They have the man disadvantage. Doc was holding W shift and just slaughtered Dolly. I mean, just wiped off the face of the earth. I mean, if we're talking about the mechanical skill of Slaughterhouse Bravo, I mean, just shown there alone, that was a gunfight Dolly would have won 1,000 times over. But Slaughterhouse Bravo able to capitalize on just maybe a split-second error or thinking error, and it's going to get even worse. It's now all on poor Finn. He's against 2, stuck in a crossfire, and the crossfire snaps his fingers. That's a flawless attacking half for Slaughterhouse Bravo.
Oh boy, you were talking about swinging for home runs on the side of Emergence, and Emergence, they're not up to bat, they're pitching, because they are throwing away so many of their members to just really silly things. They could have retreated back to site, played together, and held the 5v3, but instead, they go ahead and try to push their luck, and their luck runs out. Slaughterhouse Bravo will have 6 defending rounds to attempt to close it out, and even if they don't, they still have overtime. It's not looking good here for Emergence, and I don't know if there's any room to adapt, as now you're completely alone on your attacks. You have nothing to go back on. You're just going to have to attack better than Slaughterhouse Bravo can defend. And after what I've seen, I don't think that's going to be the case.
And Emergence is not a 7-0 or 6-0 team worse than Slaughterhouse Bravo. Again, we have to look at Emergence at their face value. You have Dolly in play. He can be one of the world's best players, but if he is forced to learn a strategy, a few hours before game day, and learn his roams, his positioning, how his teammates are going to be playing their crossfires, that is such a tall order to do. So we can't just say Emergence is having, the worst time of their life, because again, there's a lot of circumstances that are going into this game. There's still a relatively young roster, and actually everybody on the side of Emergence, all those young players are extremely talented. They're definitely more talented than the scoreline would say. This is just their evolution, and sometimes when you're evolving, you have to make mistakes and, more importantly, learn from mistakes. And this can be that team-building exercise for Emergence, where they start to learn each other's paces, how they interact with each other, and that's going to start now with the insertion of our Ash of Checks.
Yeah, in order to get stronger, you have to hurt your muscles. You have to feel the burn as it is, and they are definitely feeling it. They have been getting spit roasted this time around. It's going to be a full white push here for Emergent. Shax is going to be taking point, but it's read out by the side of Slaughterhouse Bravo, as they will now throw a smoke gate to stall it out. It's not going to be very successful here. It might be time to rotate, but no, Shax is just holding the angle, hoping that they give him something. but it doesn't seem so. Burnt Turkey seems content with just waiting and watching, except he will be flicking up to the white window and taking out Son of Finn, and then he'll also be swinging checks. He's looking for more too. Dolly will eat a little bit of damage. Burnt Turkey will also be on the losing side of that engagement. Doesn't matter though, he'll escape with his life, unlike Son of Finn and Checks. Now we have so much time left, and Emergence still seem lost.
Terry, remember when I said if you see Burnt Turkey, just Alt F4? Because of that. The man's a wizard on the SMG-11. I mean, if he sees you with an SMG-11, you're just dead. Again, you'd be better off leaving the server because he's just so darn good. And unfortunately, Emergence, they're starting to suffer. It's all on their new recruit against 4. He's downstairs on this first floor. He's retreating downstairs to the kitchen as Slaughterhouse Bravo just got wind of him. And now they want to pounce on their cake, and they want to eat it too. You can even see the banter of Emergence trying to put a smile on their players' faces. At least the scoreboard is going to smile for Dally as he gets one more kill, but still, it's pretty much all in vain. The jokes aside for the knife fight, but they're going to start to feed him. He can start to eat up. The M762 can be a gnarly weapon in the hands of any player, and especially when you slaughter 2 members of the Bravos.
And these 2 players are playing very far away. There's not much room for them to set up a crossfire, but it looks like Call will be thinking better of it and rotating back closer to the Slothy so they can at least play off each other a bit better. Dolly also doesn't have Diffuser. That's actually dropped outside of White Window, so it looks like we're going to see the close on our little play sooner rather than later, but Dolly could still clutch up, and if he can, it'll be huge. He does seem to know that there's someone on White stairs, but he's looking up instead of down. If he's not careful, he's going to peek right into Slothy's crosshair and be taken off the board. A 7-0 victory for Slaughterhouse and Bravo. They'll go ahead and cash that one into the bank. They'll end their drought and go even in the standings.
A heartbreaking showing by Emergence. Again, a young, talented roster going against the old guards here in T3. I mean, if you're a fan of T3, you've seen every iteration of this Slaughterhouse Akara Gaming roster over the past year. I mean, they've been a staple for so long. They've just are good. They have the same chemistry. They have the same synergy. Even with Exum leaving recently, Kala stepping in, I mean, you can just see their lethality. I mean, their synergy is just something that you can't overlook. And again, we expect that from this roster. Emergence, this is their stepping stone, their learning block to say, hey, we can play against good teams. We are capable of it. We just have to learn from our mistakes. They had a substitute in play. They're playing far too aggressive, not as a team. This is something that they can adjust for future play weeks.
Emergence, not their best showing, but it's a step at a time, and that step's definitely going to give you a lot to talk about, especially when you figure out what's going on behind the scenes as well. I'm sure the comms, maybe they were messy, or maybe people were kind of getting a little bit angry at each other or frustrated, and that's something that you can now see and work out later in the round. You can figure out how you work as a team and how you coordinate. That's going to be a very big issue later on. You want to have it sooner rather than later, and that is this is that sooner. This is where you really build that team chemistry.
And with that, well, we need our own chemistry, which means we have to step away for 20 minutes or so and set up for our next series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with you as soon as we can.
Welcome back to Upsurge Premier League. Prophecy was foretold. Slaughterhouse Bravo will 7-0 synthetic, or not synthetic, rather. That's a different team. Emergence. There we go. Words are hard. But this time now we have Mystic versus Toys. We're just getting everyone in the lobby, and it's going to be a game. This game actually has very big implications for either of these teams. Chief, want to go in more detail about that?
Sure thing. And actually, I have to say, Synthetic Emergence had a rivalry at one time. Now, different Sin roster. But hey, it's fair to draw that parallel. But you're talking about the repercussions of losing this series. And that is, if you bury yourself in the loser's bracket today, there's a very high likelihood you won't be qualifying for postseason. So it's imperative that both of these juggernauts find themselves in the winner's bracket today. And looking at those rosters, and you're saying, hey, I've seen Mystic around before. They look oddly familiar. They look a lot like Aggro. You'd be right. This is the new Aggro roster. I guess not new roster, but their new representation, the org level. So we're happy to see Mystic once again back here in Siege after they departed with their OG roster.
Going over to the map bands, we see we're going to be on Villa with Toys starting on defense. Villa, a much more 3-3 map than it used to be. So starting side, not too imperative, but Toys are going to have a slight advantage for the start of their game. We're getting ready to jump in, though. I don't do predictions, but Chief, do you do predictions before the game?
I make my analysts do predictions. I subject them to that, but honestly, trust only your squad, known as Toys. They have been an up-and-coming roster. They've improved a lot since our winter series. But the former roster, Aggro, now Mystic, they are just the upper echelon of T3. Every aspect of these 5 players is phenomenal, and they're terrifying to go against. Unfortunately, Kix, he had some technical problems. He eventually was able to actually boot into our server, and that means all 5 legs of spiky tableness that Mystic has is fully installed in our servers, and trust on your squad, they have a large hill to climb.
Yeah, hopefully he got to warm up. I don't know exactly what his technical issues were, but if he couldn't do his T-hunts before the game or whatever have you, maybe he uses aim lab. That's a good way to warm up. But either way, hopefully he's ready and raring to go. Habana Thatcher off the board first thing. Not too surprising. The Habana is a little bit unique in the sense of I feel like there's stronger hard breachers to take off the board, maybe in Thermite and Ace. Villa does have a lot of walls that you need to open up. So seeing Habana is a little bit different from the status quo.
Valkyrie, always about information. Important to ban. We've seen her have one of the highest bans currently in competitive play, especially if we're looking at professional play. But going back to our hard breach bans, Habana gets banned simply because she has an accurate hard breach over range, right? So if you look at the Ace Selma charge, you have to lob it, and it has a projectile arc. So if you want it to be pinpoint, well, you have to do a bit of math in your head to say, if I throw it at this angle, it's going to drop perfectly where I want it. Where Habana, it's just a linear shot. The X-Cairo pellets go exactly where you're looking. So that's what it comes down to. If you want like a very small hole, we'll say over by master bedroom, looking in a split, that's going to be the trophy bomb site to cut off that rotation. If you want to make that toss from outside on that balcony, it becomes very difficult to do because you have to thread the needle with the Selma charge. So you can do it accurately with an X-Cairo launcher, though. So that's, again, the opportunity cost of your utility and what you want to do. And Malusi, that final ban, again, utility is so critical, especially when you're moving the ban phase. That's going to allow the attackers a little bit more flexibility moving forward.
I mean, I don't think it's really necessary for Mystic, though. Ashe, Zofia, Iana, and Sledge. That's going to be 4 grenades, 2 gone 6. No, just 1 gone 6. But then also 5 other explosives. If there's still hard or like bulletproof utility still on the board on the side of Toys near the end of the round, it's because Mystic just didn't care about it, not because they ran out of utility for it.
Yeah, the screw your utility meta. I love that analogy to it. Mira's made her way through the ban phase, which also means she's going to find herself in our map. Now, there's a couple ways to place these Mira windows. You can have one facing the south over to study. That can be a very difficult Mira window to play off of because the attackers can hold a very long angle on you and I'll actually have the advantage in the gunfight. Your other option is to place a Mira window somewhere over into games, which is actually where it's going to be placed. Both of them will be placed here. The one over to the north is designed to have a free line of sight over to the default plant of maps as well as the gun vault. Now that other one can be opened up for an impact trick, it can be opened up to deny access to study, or it can just be a free information tool. And it seems like Mystic has enough information just to send it up these main stairs.
Well, yeah, Mystic getting the early pick on the Cat, and Cat will get shut down. So, alright. Now, Mystic may have gotten the opening pick, but Eddie's very low, and they only have so much control. The Ace Charge will go out and disable that Mira, so at least there's that going in favor of Mystic. They still have a little bit more to do. Now, with this hole open up and the Mira not too far off to the side, it's going to be very hard to actually push Stunny. That's why Gunner is on the flank here trying to take control of the 90 and possibly landing. He is going to find Cordell, and he's also going to try to fight Matt Bonger, but Matt Bonger will come out on top. Kicks to get Jello. Eddie trying to enter, but he was at so low health, just one bullet to put him down. Matt Bonger to get another one, and it's going to be all up to Kicks. He's going to have to kick off the remaining two players of Toys. He'll find Matt Bonger, and now he just needs to find Jarden playing in the vault, and he will do so. Mystic to take round one here on Villa.
It's become the new age strategy to open up this one particular wall of study. And we've seen it over multiple iterations of Villa over the past few years, and I'm still hating it. The simple reason is as soon as the attackers have study, that can be an asset, a fixed position that they can challenge against you as a defender stuck in the bomb sites. I mean, case in point, that final execution by Kicks. He sat in study, he can act as a human turret and challenge all these positions, particularly if you're a defender with a macro strategy of trying to deny with a smoke grenade through the wall. Well, that player is now on an island by himself. He's never going to be able to leave that gun vault, and he's going to be forced to take a gunfight to an attacker that has a better weapon than him and better positioning. They know exactly where you are, and you can have, the 50-50 chance of what door frame is he going to swing. But the thing is, he can cover both of those door frames pretty much at the same time, so it just becomes down to reaction time. Mystic, their old org was aggro. The players on Mystic play aggressively. They're mechanically gifted, and you don't want to go up against a gunfight. Now, fortunately, if you're a fan of Trustle in your squad, you have Matt Bonger and Cordell, who are just as good and vicious on the sticks.
Yeah, they were talking about how many T-hunts Matt Bonger has done, and while that one didn't go well for him, he's still in a T-hunt, I think. He did just kind of go and find 2 kills of his own. He's just looking around for those bots, and meanwhile, Mystic really stepping up there, especially that flank by Gunner. That was a great play to pick off the player holding landing, and that allowed a lot more control for the side of Mystic, but you can't sleep on Kicks getting a triple kill. A very nice double kill to seal it away in the 1v2 clutch situation. So a lot of talent on both sides of the coin. Mystic are this time going to be full on attacking from the west, or the north side rather. They're going to forego trying to open up all those Mira windows, as it didn't really go too well for them last time around.
So this is the thing. When you're attacking roster, you need to have multiple ways of executing on the exact same bomb site. Case in point, if you win the attacking round, the defense has the option of going back to that bomb site. If you go with your same attack, let's say that linear study push that we saw in round 1, well, that means Trusting Your Squad is going to already know what cards you're going to be playing. So now it's Mystic's turn to say, we can deal ourselves a brand new deck since you yourself dealt yourself a brand new deck, and they can reverse engineer their entire attack. It's going to be a much more slow, methodical round, and that actually makes sense for Mystic. They lost a lot of opening duels. A lot of their good players were in senseless gunfights that they're incapable of winning. And to make that even better for the attacking roster, there are 3 ADSs over by this main stairs corridor where Matt Bonger is playing. That means all the attackers can remove the utility for free unless Matt starts to pick that utility up, which is going to be very slim.
Yeah, there's going to have to be someone to clear off the bandit charge on the vault wall if they want to open it up, and they do have the grenades to do so. Gunner will take down Cordell. They needed to get the bandit charge, not bandit, but I don't think they're complaining as the player from below with the C4 does go down. This Mira window will be a thorn in Mystic's side, though. They're going to need to go below and take care of it. Ace charges are going out, and that's going to be opening up this long angle for Eddie to play. Kicks to get Jello, and that's going to be a 2v5 here. A 1v5, as Kicks will get another. It's going to be all up to Cat in the 1v5, and it's not going to happen. Silent from the staircase will finish out the round. Mystic looking even better this time round.
That was almost an effortless attack coming out from Mystic. They just applied pressure at every single turn. Their entire strategy was to put Trust on your squad in this vice grip, and Toys rolled over on their stomach and allowed it to happen. Even with their offsite pressure of that nitrocell denial, it was a calculated part of Mystic's attack. They said, we respect your nitrocell underneath. We're going to have a strategy to deal with it. As soon as that bandit is off the board, we can now just continue moving our forces closer to our bomb site and taking more of these gunfights. That wall that we saw opened up in study, well, it was opened up again by an Ace Selma charge. And now you have an even longer line of sight. You can see the Mira being pressured. As soon as she realized the floor from underneath her was compromised, that was Gunnar coming from underneath with a Zofia, sending one of her lifelines up range, dealing with that floor, thus dealing with those bandit batteries. She was now forced to be aggressive because her power position was no longer powerful. Everything Mystic did that round was calculated, and Trust on your squad, their macro strategy played perfectly into the attack of Mystic. We need to see the defense set the pace of these rounds, and right now Trust on your squad has failed to do that over 2 rounds.
Mystic cutting open walls to cut off the rotates from Toys, and then they cut down the members of the squad. This is a really good look for Mystic coming in here, but it's going to have to continue. This time they're attacking a different site. This is going to be the kitchen dining defense, and it's going to be a heavy extension upstairs. Cordell with the Scorpion, a close range demon. Maybe not so much as the FO12 shotgun, but Cordell needs that range just a bit more, and the Scorpion's nothing to smock at either.
We've been seeing Capcan a lot more in competitive play lately. He was kind of this, just meme operator for the longest time, and now all of a sudden he's actually entered in operator lineups. The thing is, he brings a nitrocell, so if you're going for a call center from hell strategy, which the kitchen defense is, it can work out well for you. And also, those Capcan devices, well, they force the attackers into a different way of clearing out the map. The drones have to drone, and then the attackers have to look at every single door frame just to make sure a drone hasn't missed its target. That means you're no longer going to be looking at head level or crouch level. You're going to be looking at feet level. And an enterprising defender can capitalize on that information and go for a swing, hopefully, when the attackers are looking at the ground instead of their noggin.
Yeah, you mentioned Cat's nitrocell, and indeed 4 members of Toys are bringing nitrocells, and the Pulse from below also to give out that information. Cordell, the only one to not have a nitrocell, and he's playing firmly upstairs. Any member of Toys from below or above can rotate down and go ahead and throw that nitro. And Jordan just trying to make sure that no one's pushing him and getting aggressive so he can assist the rest of his members. But indeed, Gunner's actually in Memorial Room. He'll take down Jello. He'll be refragged by Jordan. Meanwhile, Cat to pick up Kicks, and that's going to be a very solid player who's been showing up huge for Mystic off the board, but Silent is silently creeping into sight. Jordan will be shut down. Asian now into the trophy room. He'll get 1. Matt Bonger to respond with 2. So it's going to be Asian. He did have 0 kills at the beginning of this round, but now he's going to have to 3 to win it out for Mystic. Matt Bonger at very low HP, so this is a very decisive, but Matt Bonger with the swing! Toys to get their first round in the kitchen area. Matt Bonger, what a monster with the triple kill.
We always hear players talk about, Asian as being one of the mechanical gods. Matt Bonger needs to be in conversations more. The man just goes nuclear. Every single series, even the ones where Trust in Your Squad loses, he's always able to get kills. I mean, there were 2 members of Mystic wide swinging him and challenging with the P10 Roni with 22 rounds that fires so fast. I mean, a transfer kill like that is incredibly difficult. You have to be precise with every single one of those kills. And when those players are Mystic swinging you, the former aggro roster, you should be sweating when there's 2 of them shooting at the same time. He was calm, cool, and collected and won those gunfights outright. I mean, the man does what he was brought onto, winning those ones. Now, the thing with Mystic, they did a lot of things well. They took map control and they punished Trust on Your Squad's rotation back to the bomb site. The problem was taking their map control cost them a lot of that roster count. And once they actually ended up having man advantage, they started to make solo pushes out of Memo into Tetris. And at that point, they were swinging with little information. There was an Ionic clone, but it wasn't yet to the position to provide info that, hey, there's somebody sitting over in Jukebox. If Mystic slowed that attack down by half a second, they would have had absolute information of a player sitting over by Jukebox. They would have been able to swing on it, and they would have had a higher chance of winning those engagements. But Mystic, there's still a solid roster, some mistakes, and Trust in Your Squad has learned they can bleed.
Toys still not quite sure that they should be going over to the Aviator games once again. They did lose it twice. They will have an extension over here with a few reinforcements, and that's just going to be to slow Mystic down, as they are indeed attacking from this veranda side, just looking to push into this office area, maybe get a bit more control. Asian will be leading the charge, but it seems like Toys are content with maybe falling away. Indeed, Matt Bonger, who was playing that Plains room, will be falling over to the landing. Oh.
How on earth are these gunfights allowed to go down? I mean, Gunner falls, but Kix is ready to pounce on this opening. He can hear the down. He sees a blood trail. The audio cue for the swing is going to be prompted, and there they go. Two of them drop instantaneously, and Trust on Your Squad, they needed to have the covering fire from the wardrobe on the other side, but it seems like they just made that miscommunication. You need to be on the same wavelength. At least Asian's now down, but not out, but Silent's going to rectify that for Mystic. Matt Bonger's going to have to once again evolve into the fragging might that he was in round 3, pushing deeper up in the master bathroom. He'll win it against Kix and now retreat back, but Silence there ready to greet him, and now it's all going to go down to Cordell, unable to even return to his bomb site. Mystic, they snap their fingers, and Trust on Your Squad dissolves.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of things that went horribly wrong that round for Toys, but it looked so good for just a split second. They got the opening pick, they managed to pick up their Cade, and then all of a sudden, there's a player in their bomb site killing everyone. And you just need to be more aware. No one's just gonna solo push aggressively towards site like that. You need to be aware that there's almost certainly going to be someone backing them up, especially when it's Team Mystic. They're going to be playing off their guns, playing off their refrags. And that's exactly what they did. A huge set of refrags to give them the round there. Well, Trophy Room didn't work out last time, so they're just going to be going to Aviator Plains, not going to even attempt to rectify what went wrong. Just going to try to change of pace, change of scenery here on Villa. I keep saying here on Villa a lot.
You know what? I mean, Villa's awesome, though. You're in the Italian countryside. There's vineyards. There's wine all around you. I mean, this would be a great place to vacation. So here in Villa,
yeah.
I mean, I would love to be here in Villa, but I guess Southern California will have to do for it now. And I just want to go back to round 4 for one split second. When you have it down like that and you can hear the res going on, that's technically -2 man advantage temporarily, because the player who's down, well, he can't shoot back because he's down, and the player resing also can't shoot back because he's picking somebody up. Now, he can go to a gun up state, but that's about a second transfer window, and the likelihood of that is just low. You're usually going to die, particularly when you have a team like Mystic on the other side who is not afraid of taking gunfights. I think that's something that a lot of people just overlook. Everybody wants to think about, the Gigabrain IGLs breaking down strategies, but at a certain point, you have to just take gunfights. It is a first-person shooter after all, and you have to win gunfights. And, the former aggro roster is fully capable and willing to take aggressive gunfights. I mean, Jordan's position was caught out. A traditional way to take gunfights is through that opening he made, and Mystic was willing to swing it, but they did get the opening kill, and it's going to be converted into more kills for Trust on Your Squad.
This is a really strange and messy hold of the main stairs, but it works out wonderfully, as now it's all up to Eddie to find 4 remaining players of Toys. They are all very low except for Matt Bonger, but that's the one you need to worry most about. You won't even see the Jaeger player, however. Jarden is going to pinch out Eddie. I said Yeti. Oof. Eddie. And a lot more solid than the last 2 times we saw Aviator Plains for Toys.
Well, we're talking about, being confident, and there is another example that swinging engagements with 1 HP. Because if you trust your mechanical skills, say, hey, I can get a headshot before they can shoot me. Excellent. Use the map, use your positioning as an advantage. And even if you are on 1 HP, you can say, hey, refrag me, swing off me because I'm dead. Use it as information because you can see those white tracers and you say, hey, there's an attacker over there. And well, that was a strong position for Trust Only a Squad to be in because they knew exactly where every Freddy from Mystic was. They stacked on the main stairs, they stacked over in Piano and Art, and it was a linear execute like they did in round 1. They just weren't able to get the foothold because they ended up losing those engagements. Now that we move back over to round 6, Mystic, they look strong on their last execute here, but Matt Bonger was allowed to go nuclear. You have to be able to shut down the aggressive assets of Trust Only a Squad, and that's always going to be Cordell and Matt Bonger.
Revisiting round 5 of that main stairs hold, it actually didn't go according to plan. The player playing the shield at the top of those stairs was taken out before the shield was even destroyed. It was eventually destroyed, but as soon as the shield was destroyed, for whatever reason, just 3 kills came out from Toys. And that just solidified the round for them. They had already gotten the opening pick earlier through the floor by Maestro, and it didn't take much after that point to close out the round. So where did those 3 kills come from? Were they just not watching their flanks, or did Toys just win their gunfights handily?
It's the stack of the main stairs, because when you have so many attackers in 1 square meter, I mean, you can just rifle rounds downrange, and they're going to hit something, because you have 3 attackers literally in a square meter of 2. So, I mean, the likelihood of bullets whizzing and connecting are just high in that scenario. So you have to be conscious of where you're playing. Make sure you have a position where you can swing off your teammate for information, but not swing and get swung by the defenders who are able to just abuse your, on top of each other nature. Now, it seems like the same rotations are going to be set up for Trust Only a Squad over here on the south side of Study. But Mystic won't be able to actually capitalize on that, and that's going to allow Cordell on the Ella to fall deeper back. Now, Jarden on the other side of the map, he's going to take some engagements. It's critical that Jarden stays alive since he's the wielder of the pulse, the cardiac sensor, the wall hacks that's built into his gadgetry, and Asian's going to fall in an early engagement. The red dot wizard unable to participate.
Cat will also tag onto Gunner, and that's going to put them hugely in the down. So all of their top floor presence has been handily swept away, and now it's going to be a more horizontal push. Eddie does have some intel onto the site, but as soon as that intel is gained, if you don't act on it, it's immediately irrelevant. Kicks will be pushing in through the mudroom. You won't be able to find a kill on the player playing on the bottom Astro stairs. There is a player also supporting the Cat on the top Astro stairs, so it's going to be very difficult gunfights to take, and Toys are just winning everything now. We were talking about how mechanically gifted the roster Mystic is, but Toys are just answering back gunfight after gunfight, and they've looked flawless this round. They will take another one going into the half to even it out.
The foothold of Trust Only a Squad, the beachhead that they established downstairs in the kitchen. Well, anytime Mystic trying to enter in the building, they were met with artillery barrage after artillery barrage. And they're trying to replicate what they had success with in previous attacking executes. That was a swift insertion followed up by kills. We saw strong droning. The thing was, entry fraggers were pushing in by themselves. This was almost the exact opposite problem they had in round 5. Round 5, they were too close to each other, unable to really participate as a team because they were just so close and crammed together. Now in round 6, they were so far apart, they also weren't able to participate as a team because they couldn't get refrags of their fallen comrades. They couldn't swing off that dead man information, that immediate call out saying, hey, there's a dude sitting in this corner. Can you shoot him for me, please? So that was one of the few errors that we've seen from Mystic, and by far the worst attacking round that they've had. Now, Trust Only a Squad, though, they've had a good run on defense. They had a strong stint, And now they're going to have to learn the lessons, their successes on defense, reverse engineer, and now apply it as they move over to attack, because it's going to be a similar style of defense in planes and games for Mystic. They're going to be bringing out these mirror windows facing the same direction, denying the default plant of maps as well as gun vault door. They're going to be coupling that with pre-made rotations and, more crucially, opening up that floor. So if any attacker does go for that plant, you can deny it from underneath. It's critical that Trust Only Your Squad clears out that first floor and deals with that mirror window from the library.
Gunner actually hasn't put down his last mirror window, whether he wants to keep it in pocket forever or he is now going to employ it elsewhere on the map. Matt Bonger is aware that there is a frost on the board. It wasn't 6-pick 2, it was shown very early on. And so they're going to be more and more aware of that as Cordell picks up the frost. Silent will not be able to participate this time around. Very good control established on the north side of Villa for Toys. They have left Diffuser. Okay, they pick up Diffuser finally. Jarden seems to have hit a frost trap. That's probably why they were aware of its existence. So 2 frost traps down. There's probably one still lurking around here somewhere that could catch an unsuspecting member of Toys as they go for their execute.
The other one was in top Astro, and we just saw Cordell fall through that window, so it was shot out. But I mean, you have to do basics. If you're shown a frost mat in the operator reveal phase, you have to look at the floor 100% of the time. Same idea that we were talking about Capcan. If there's a Capcan in play, you have to check all door frames. If there's a frost in play, just look down every so often, and especially if you're vaulting through a window, because there's always going to be an enterprising defender really eager to have you vault into their map and then shoot you after that, laughing all the way to the bank as they retreat to a completely different position. Now, though, Trust Only Your Squad, they're going to continue queuing up their attacking might. They have all the north side of the map in their control, but they never dealt with Asian. He swings up the red stairs, collects 2, and hightails it out there. Cordell's still lurking below, so he might be able to shut down this rotation, but he doesn't look over to the main stairs. And there's Eddie saving his teammate, allowing Asian to come back home to their bomb site. Trust Only Your Squad forced to take the rest of this map with only 2 of their roster left alive and standing.
And it's getting worse and worse by the minute. Jarden, now alone, very low health. He's not going to be able to win anything, and he's going to be quickly dealt with from the site by the smoke player. This is where that last mirror went, and honestly, I kind of like this setup here, where it's 2 mirror windows facing into reading. There's not one that's just kind of dead and easy to open up. Very, not different. I believe I've seen it before, but it worked very well for Mystic, but I don't even know if it had anything to do with the results of that round. Toys didn't even get close to the site before being just absolutely demolished.
The thing was, Trust on Your Squad, they did get that opening kill. And once again, they're starting to learn how Mystic is playing. Mystic is going to be a very aggressive team, and they're going to swing you as soon as you find a foothold into the map. Trust on Your Squad can put that information in their brain, and when those drones are rolling downfield, they can say, hey, there's a defender playing in this door frame. They're most likely not going to participate too much in that staged roam. They're not going to fall back. They're going to take this gunfight. We need to now do our own homework and our setup. How do we stop this from happening? Well, since we're going to a trophy defense, if you notice that there's going to be expansion over to planes and games, and you definitely should notice that, since there's a mirror window staring you in the face over by study, you just make a rotation to somebody over to the boar window, the zombie window, or my favorite, that 90 window. Now you have a full cutoff, and those defenders won't be able to rotate back to their bomb site without standing their ground and taking some gunfights. That's where you can capitalize on it by putting a lot of your roster count into those cutoffs.
Indeed. What's even more baffling about that round is that it wasn't like Asian came up the red stairs on the flank. He was sitting there for the entirety of the round. It must have been drone mismanagement, or just maybe Asian fell back for just 10 seconds and then managed to retake his position.
It's the red dot, Terry. It's the red dot. That's what red dots do to people.
Red dots make people invisible. You heard it here first.
Yep.
If you're playing Vigil with a red dot, you basically just can't be found. It's impossible. Yep. Cordell creeping up the red stairs, being droned in as well, or not the red stairs, but rather main stairs. Cat playing indeed on that 90 winner to cut off any potential rotates, but No gunfights yet as Mystic holding their ground solidly in the game's bar. Asian looking for this kill. Kicks will fall a little bit back, and okay, well, Asian gets completely slammed by Cordell, and that means that Kicks is going to take that Q and run far, far away.
Perfect. Play your life, play your utility, and make sure you're still alive for another engagement. And actually, Kix's positioning will be even better when he was lurking downstairs, able to nitro cell from underneath. He's now going to return over to Aster. He does have to be careful in this scenario because he doesn't want to replicate the mistakes that Mystic made in round 5, stacking too many bodies in one position. So he might be better off actually expanding over to Master Bedroom where one of his teammates is already playing. Because trust on your squad, a good opening kill for them, they have to now convert that into different control. That means making a rotation over to a different window. You can use the Astros or Star window. That is over to the north side of the map. That's a good crossfire to shut down access to split. The thing is, if you put more attackers over to Master Bedroom, you accomplish the same goal and actually can soften up that A bomb chassis by doing some hard breaching.
Mystic need to just hold firm while Toys need to establish 2 points of contact to be able to close in on this site. It does seem that most of their players are rotating to do that while Matt Bonger will stay on the landing. Cordell on the Astro window and Cat close behind. He's actually going to be pushing towards Trophy, it looks like. Maybe using his gadget to just do some initial droning before doing so. It's a very slow start here, but Gunner is going to completely shut out Cat. And that means it's going to be even man count with 30 seconds left for the execute.
Jello flying into the bomb site, 2 credited for trust only your squad, and now it's going to be on the defenders who are isolated off site. Gunner's the closest man for the engagement, and he has the auto, which is a perfect position for him to be in. Utility flies over his head, and the auto starts to go burr. He looks away at the wrong direction, and now Mystic's going to have to rely on Silent. Is he going to attempt to silence the members of trust only your squad? A bad repellent for Cordor. He's going to go down in that process. But Trust Only Your Squad, since they had the man advantage, are able to snap into action, dealing with that outright. A valiant attempt from Mystic, but they weren't able to seal the deal.
It was a trust repel, you know? He repelled in, and he trusts his teammate to get the refrag. So, very apt name for Toys right there, because they were able to play off each other. And they said, yo, hey, repel in, it's fine, I got you. And indeed, there was a refrag. 4-4. I mean, that attack looked really good. It slowed down quite a bit, and Mystic almost found the answer, but they didn't have time to crunch the numbers, and then by the time they figured it out, it was a 1v3, and Silent just can't do enough there. This time around, it's going to be Trophy's statuary again, meaning that it's going to have to be an adaptation here from Mystic to learn from their past mistakes. They're going to have to figure out what they did wrong, as they are also bringing a very similar lineup as well.
Again, they have to be able to fall back. Asian cannot be sitting over by U-bar and dying. If he wants to stand his ground there, maybe you incorporate a deployable shield over by 90, so that way one of your teammates can also swing in a classical hallway. So you hear somebody classical south or by the bookshelves, you say, hey, I hear a dude over here. Do you want to swing behind your shield and shoot him? I will also swing from U-bar. Now we have a wall of lead going that direction, and the attackers will think otherwise about this. There were mirror windows over to the south, but they really didn't accomplish much. I mean, they're a fixed position. They're always going to be oppressive, and it's going to hurt an attacking roster trying to go through that door frame because you just don't know what's on the other side of the mirror window. But still, Trust Your Squad was able to come in through that door frame nonetheless. They didn't even need to apply vertical pressure from underneath. In Asian, he's changed up his rotation by reinforcing Gunvault wall, and it seems like the main way that Mystic is going to leave is going to be through that zombie door.
Hicks still holding this Mira. He isn't placing down his second one, meaning that he just either doesn't have a reason to, or he's holding it for something later. I haven't ever seen a Mira trick in Pro League, or any competitive for that matter, where you actually use the Mira window to destroy Thermite or Ace charges. And I don't think I'm going to see it today. Kix is going to fall back as the Ace charge opens up his Mira. And that's going to mean that there's only one player. No, actually, both players have fallen back. 2 minutes down, and the entirety of Mystic is on site or below it.
Perfect. They've done their job. They've wasted time, and the attackers are still droning. Trust only your squad doesn't realize that Mystic has just yeeted themselves out of planes and games, and an additional 30 seconds has been absorbed by Team Mystic for doing absolutely nothing. Again, trust on your squad. You have to be very active with your drone economy when clearing out that extended roam. You have to have a primary attacker behind that drone to capitalize on that information. Because if you're just droning without somebody able to capitalize on that information, case in point, you're going to lose so much of that time. And now trusting your squad, well, they're going to have to replicate what they did back in round 7. That's going to be that rotation over to the Stars window. The thing is, they now have the exact same roster count as Mystic, and they only have 60 seconds left on the clock.
So they're going to have to make sure that they do their due diligence, though, as there are still players lurking about. This even man count means they can spread more horizontally. Asian in the walk-in. Lots of bullets flying past him. His position is probably called out by now. But it's one thing to have the information. It's another thing to win these gunfights. Cordell will open up the wall. Asian will respond by opening up Cordell's head. And now Asian wastes second by second, giving his team so much more to work with. Will finally be taken out by Jarden, but 4v4 and you don't have all the control you need to go for an execute. This is looking worse and worse for Trust Only Your squad.
Still able to win gunfights against Mystic, though, but they're going to put the stop to that. And now, equal man count for both these teams. Jordan has lower HP, but he's been incredible throughout this series. And the same thing can be said for Cat. Silent rotating over through Astro, spotting Cat, and now rotating back into Master. It's going to be the Runegate to save his life. You can hear the audio cue through Master, and there he goes. Jordan's now going to fall. Mystic, it was an up and down roller coaster for them, but at the end, Asian's great positioning over and Coat saved the day. It's all about absorbing that time, and man, do they suck it up.
Mystic have just narrowly been holding on to the lead or being even so far. Toys, to my recollection, haven't been able to pull ahead. They're going to have to do so at some point, though, as Mystic are one round away from putting it to 6. That means that you have to take them to overtime, or you're going to be on the losing end of this. So, Aviator Games, once again, it's going to be a very normal lineup, but Jarden's got a 6 pick from the Ace to the Maverick. So why adapt like that when the Ace has actually been one of the few things working for you?
I mean, we saw the Maverick pick back in the last Planes and Games defense. So it could just be for the extra grenades. I mean, you could assume, hey, there's going to be multiple shield strategies. We see Goyo picked a lot here. We've seen other operators that have access to a secondary shield, not just our smoke. So, again, it could just be to counter that out. You want to have a little bit more fuel to the fire. So if you do run into a roadblock, you're guaranteed to have that extra utility. Or it could be for the power of the impact trick over in Gunvault Wall. If you throw all of your utility in that position, you can absorb practically all the attacker's hard breach utility. So if you bring out a Maverick, you really can't impact trick it unless you're doing the Ferme strategy where everybody runs impact grenades and you're just yeeting it at the poor soul.
Looking at Mystic, though, they don't have any impacts to speak of, meaning that they're not going to either do the Ferme strat or the normal just impacted strat. Whether or not Jarden just is more comfortable on Maverick is another discussion that could be possible, and the grenades will be useful, throwing it over, trying to get those free picks. Toys are trying to establish control of the north side. They'll be trying to go through 90. Asian falls off very early. He's actually below now. He'll probably be going up the main stairs to support the rest of his team later in the round. Matt Bonger creeping through Trophy. He's going to be uncontested. It actually seems like Mystic are saying, go ahead. Take everything that you need because you're not going to be able to take us on our bomb site.
Now, that's something you don't see every day. Asian reinforcing Piano. The idea behind it is simple. He's going to hold Piano to make sure he has the vertical access to what we saw Rooney meleeing earlier with her fist. So if somebody goes for a plant, boom, he's there to capitalize on it. Or if Cordell continues to participate in this util clear from underneath, he has to be very careful that Asian doesn't end up capitalizing on it. And Mystic is going to continue on in that aggressive manner. It's going to be a double swing over to 90, free information and also potential kill. They won't be able to see anything yet, and it's actually going to allow Asian to once again repeat his success. Coming up the red stairs, Jello almost 6-picks to his gadget, but Jello ends up making, well, mincemeat out of poor Asian.
That was just a pixel of Asian's head, and now it's all across the walls and floors. Oh boy, I hope the people who own this villa have janitors. Matt Bonger, N90, spraying down the bookshelf, trying to find just one more freebie before they start opening up walls and going for this execute. It's going to be all up to Jarden with his blowtorch, but he's actually repositioned over to the terrace and office area. So it's going to actually be Matt Bonger opening it up and Cat to throw a grenade in. It's not going to catch anyone. Gunner isn't even playing in the vault. He's playing by the door. So 35 seconds left, and it's going to come down to this execute Jello by the vault door. He's going to swing in and do a little bit of damage to Silent. He's going to have to go for a plant eventually, except he won't have to if Gunner's grounded. They haven't dealt with a player below, and Eddie will take down Jello, and that means that the diffuser is on the floor. Silent to get another one. 3v3. Eddie now creeping up the red stairs while Kix gets one of his own. It's all falling apart here for Trust Only Your Squad. They do have control of the vault, but not for long. 2 more kills come out, and Mystic will go to match point.
Everything this round, particularly that final last-dish push for Trust Only Your Squad, well, we saw Mystic calculate it. You can see how precise their movements were. Like a well-oiled machine. It was all about communication, and that just turns into coordination. I mean, they saw the push from Gun Vault. They saw the rotation. They also knew that they're getting pressured from main stairs. And they said, hey, you look at this position. I'll look at this position. We'll take these gunfights. When you win that, you help me. We also have a flank coming, so if we end up losing that gunfight, Kix is going to be there to clean up house. So maybe Villa doesn't have janitors on duty, but Kix was there willing to help clean up this lovely Italian countryside and wipe members of Trust Only Your Squad. Again, one of the hardest aspects of a defensive round is when the attackers are flying at you from every single position. You have to trust your friends to be able to watch your back and do their job. And that means more than just clicking heads. That means once they're done clicking heads, they're going to step in and help you. Great coordination. If you want a textbook round, one of the hardest parts to dry run, look at round 9 for Mystic.
Toys are going to have to vacate Mystic eventually. They have 2 more attacks to attempt to do, or they're going to have to win 2 more attacks to do so, however. And that's easier said than done. Mystic's anchor game has been on point. They haven't really been losing when it comes down to site executes. Only their roam game has really looked of question. And I think Mystic have realized that and started playing less and less into their own game. However, Vigil is AFK in planes? Okay, no, he is alive and willing. There's no reinforcements over here. They actually don't have any utility for a gunner. It's just going to be an active roam as the Vigil looks for kills.
AFK trolling would be the funniest thing to see in Siege. Well, also, there might be some AFKing, as Kix is going to just get fried off the face of the earth. The top rack for Mystic. Unable to now play, but he can still find himself as service to his friends and family on Mystic. He's going to be relegated over to camera watch duty. All of those preset cams, even the ones that are destroyed, actually provides information to the defenders. Because if you see the camera go down, well, that is 110% information to say, hey, there's an attacker over in this area, and that's going to allow Silent to go for 1. He swings for the second. Jordan's going to end up winning that engagement, but now stuck down to 50 HP. An aggressive play for Silent. And reason we saw that transpire was because Mystic, having the man disadvantage, they knew it was imperative for them to get it back. So they say, hey, go get some kills. Hopefully you survive. And while Silent did end up getting kills, he wasn't able to get any more than that. So now Mystic is still at that man disadvantage.
These are some new holes that are being opened up above the living room looking for these picks as the players are pushing horizontally. They haven't actually dealt with any of the vertical presence that Mystic has. And that's really important because a lot of these angles that can be held from above will destroy the default plant sites and default push areas. Gunner will be doing a really fun rotation. He's going to actually, I think he dropped outside and then through the door. So he'll be now on site for the rest of this round. Jello will be taken out. He's down, and it's unlikely for him to be revived as Eddie will throw out a C4. Gunner to get Cat. That means it's going to be Jarden and Matt Bonger. The 7-7 here are going to have to hit the lottery. It's not going to be enough. The only other 7 will be Mystics' 7-round wins to secure them.
I have to say, Mystic, the former aggro roster, I mean, when they're all on 5 cylinders, just charging ahead, they're a roster that looks unstoppable. But trust only your squad. I've said this multiple times. They are one of my favorite teams to cast, and just watching their evolution over the past 3 or 4 months, turning in for a team that was struggling to a roster that's capable of going against what's considered one of the best teams in T3. I mean, that's impressive. Going 4 rounds against Mystic, that's something you could put in your resume and say, I did that. But at the end of the day, trust in your squad. Some of those problems they have, well, it still comes through. They're slow to take map control. They're slow to drone in their entries. And as soon as that time just evolves into nothing, Mystic is capable of turning on the afterburners and taking gunfights that we saw Trust Your Squad just never prepared for.
Trust Only Your Squad did show us some really great things. They just couldn't show us just enough, especially their executes. Their executes could use a little bit of work, as it seemed when they pushed into those crossfires, they weren't able to win them out. They are definitely a very talented squad, and I love to see more from them in the future, but the future is going to have to wait. I think that's going to be all for us for the night, Chief.
It is enough for us. You've listened to us for all day, so enough Rainbow Six. There are more things happening on the UPL channel. It is going to be Rocket League up next. So if you're an esports fan, make sure you continue to watch this broadcast. There's going to be more great teams doing battle to the death, but this time doing gymnastics in the air. And if you love Rainbow Six Siege, we'll be on the exact same tomorrow. It's going to be 7 o'clock, and it's actually League first, followed by Rocket League. But until next time, stay safe, stay well, and we'll see you tomorrow.